All right, Hillary Clinton drawing potential battle lines for 2016 by jumping into the debate over immigration and executive action. She tweeted, "Thanks to POTUS, President of the United States, for taking action on immigration in the face of inaction. Now, let's turn to permanent bipartisan reform." Meantime, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee calls for a hearing into what he calls President Obama's power grab. Angela McGlowan is a Fox News political analyst. Christy Setzer was spokesperson for former Vermont Governor Howard Dean and president of New Heights Communications. They both join us to weigh in on this and to share their perspectives. Ladies, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Let's begin with Hillary Clinton, because she is throwing her support fully behind the president on this, on using executive action for immigration reform. During an appearance at the New York Historical Society, for example, she said, quote, "I think the president took an historic step and I support it." And then she added, "This is about people's lives, people who serve us tonight, who prepared the food tonight." While she's showing her support of her fellow Democrats, is she also setting the stage for a run as president in 2016? Christy.
Absolutely. I think this wasn't just a smart political move. I think she also thinks that it's the right thing to do. Hillary Clinton is no latecomer in her support for comprehensive immigration reform. But what I do think it does, as the battle lines are drawn for 2016, is I believe it puts Republicans in a really difficult position, because you've seen how they've lost their minds over the president's executive action. They've, called him a monarch and he's lawless, and they've called for impeachment. And I think that makes it really tough, because it means that anybody who is going to win the nomination of the Republican Party in 2016 is going to have to reflexively be opposed to this executive action, and by extension, opposed to immigration reform. And that's really tough.
Angela?
I disagree with you, Christy, from the standpoint that anybody has to be against the president's policies to win the Republican nomination or to win the presidency. I wrote this book, Bamboozle, where I have this chapter, Latinos in Limbo. And basically, Christy, you have some Hispanics that did not want this to happen. They didn't want people to jump in front of the line. Also, you have some Americans that don't want to have their taxes increased to pay for amnesty. Right. Do we need comprehensive immigration reform? Yes, we do. Do we have people living in the shadows? Yes, we do. But is amnesty the answer? And of course, Kelly, Hillary is drawing the battle lines because she wants to be president. But also, I think that she has to look out for Warren, Elizabeth Warren, or Biden, or maybe even Kerry. So now she's stepped forward, but she still has a lot of albatrosses around her neck before she becomes president. Right.
Well, let me bring in something that Christy alluded to, and that's the fact that Republicans seem to be flummoxed over the president's executive action. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte of Virginia, for example, in a statement saying the president ignored their opinions, forged ahead anyway, creating a constitutional crisis, and he's calling the president's actions unconstitutional, and he vows to hold a hearing on what he calls an unconstitutional power grab. What might the consequences be with this brewing fight that we're seeing now between the president and Republicans, Angela?
I don't think we'll really see much consequence from a hearing being held. Yes, the Senate did pass, Kelly, a bipartisan bill, but the House has the opportunity to hold hearings before they decide that they want to take up that legislation. The president actually did a veiled threat that if you don't act, then I will do an executive order. That's his right as president to do an executive order. Bush did it. Clinton did it, and even Reagan did amnesty. Having said that, it's kabuki theater, but at the end of the day, I don't believe that it's going to hurt Republicans. I think the president's inactions actually helped Republicans win the House and the Senate.
Christy, what do you say about this?
Oh, I disagree. I think the Republicans' pitched rhetoric on this issue sends a pretty strong signal, not just to people who are here as undocumented workers, but to all Latinos, obviously a very important vote in 2016, and frankly, all people of color, that says, we don't really feel comfortable with you being in this country right now. I think it's a really dangerous position for Republicans to be in. I also, again, think that this pitched rhetoric is particularly dangerous because when they're talking about how the president has poisoned the well, come on, that's disingenuous. The well was poisoned many, many moons ago, maybe back when Mitch McConnell said that his #1 policy priority was to ensure that Obama was a one-term president. It's been that way for a long time, but this only heightens the rhetoric.
But Christy, speaking about people of color, not all people of color are supporting this amnesty. You have a lot of folks where
it's not amnesty, Angela.
Well,
it's not amnesty. It's a temporary policy.
Let me finish, Christy. Let me finish.
Sure.
They don't support this president's plan because back in the day when we were speaking about this, the economy was great. During Bush's time, when he was talking about the temporary work release program, having said that, you have older people that might want these jobs that the undocumented workers are going to have. Also young people, people that don't have a job, or people that need 2 part-time jobs to make ends meet. So not only are we going to have our taxes increase because of this temporary fix, but also people won't be able to get jobs.
Very interesting conversation between both of you, and the debate that is likely to continue for many months, perhaps even going into 2016. So, Christy, I pose the final question to you. How will this impact the 2016 presidential elections for Republicans and Democrats alike?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it earlier. I believe that it will be very difficult for a Republican to win his party's nomination without having essentially an anti-immigration reform position. And I think by the same token, it will be very difficult for a Republican to win the general election by having an anti-immigration reform position. So I think, you know, with this executive order, maybe I would go so far as to say that Democrats have sewn up the 2016 presidential election. You heard it here first.
Angela, what do you say about that?
Look,
we heard it first from Christy.
Rubio is pro-immigrant, and I believe that he could win the nomination. You have other folks that are pro-immigrant. Just because you don't support the president's policy of his executive order does not mean that you're anti-immigration. And I'm not
Christy's just putting it out there. She's just letting it all hang out. That 2016 is the Democrats. There's going to be a lot of fighting going on between now and then. So stay tuned, folks. Angela McLeod and Christy Setzer, we thank you both for your perspective and weighing in this Saturday afternoon. Have a great day, ladies.
Thanks, you too.
Okay.